There's something odd here. Something is out of the ordinary and I can't put my finger on what it is. Perhaps I need to have a better look. Now, on your travels around any areas of heathland, although saying that, it can be anywhere where this plant grows. This is gorse. Doesn't look so beautiful now, it's not in flower. But you may well notice some webbing on it. You might be quite right in thinking that it's a spider's web, but actually you would be wrong. It's an arachnid, but it's not a spider. This web is actually caused by a mite, and the brown that you can see on these needles here on this gorse are actually hundreds if not thousands of mites, and the mite is the gorse mite, Tetrantius lintearis. Don't ask me to come up with that one again, it's took some remembering as it is, but this is a typical sort of infestation of gorse, and evidence seems to suggest from my own observations that this is very much an increasing species, unless it's just that I've not really paid any attention to this webbing on gorse in the past. But while this looks extensive, there is an extreme just to my right, and this is by far and above the heaviest infestation of Tetrantius that I've seen. It's quite incredible. You would think you were on a film set, some Halloween or horror film set, and someone's gone mad with the spider webbing. But no, this entire bush of gorse, they don't touch, or are reluctant to touch, broom, which is at the side of this gorse. But this is just a stunning example. It looks out of place. It looks weird. I can see from where I'm stood here, there are other examples similar to the level that we've just been looking at. This is a whole new ball game. You may well be able to see now that this sort of orange mass is a living mass. There are tens, probably hundreds of thousands of mites clothed over this entire gorse, and there are various concentrations, and those concentrations are usually near the growing tips of the gorse. Not that this one has the chance to do much growing, because it's completely encapsulated in the web spun by this tiny mite. But as you can see, even just in this bit alone, there are tens of thousands, and they are tiny, absolutely tiny. They are fractions of a millimetre in length. They can't be any more than 1/10 of a millimetre. Minute things. But there are hundreds of thousands of this mite on this particular bush. I've noticed a number of these beetles. I'm presuming that they predate these mites. They're constantly on the move, going into the webs, on top of the webs, all over. And I'll try and find out what species it is. I might be able to work that out by looking for species which predate the gorse mite. First I thought it was just an odd beetle, but there are a number of them. It really does look strange, but strange because it's such an extreme example. And the webbing is actually brilliantly shiny. It almost looks highly polished. Incredibly, it looks like glass or ice where it catches the sun. In a way it's quite beautiful, but in a way it isn't. Ultimately, the gorse will probably come to no harm, but gorse is one of those sort of throwaway plants, as I describe it, as much as it's useful for its nectar in the spring. Gorse is cut down annually as part of conservation practices, but I've never seen a gorse bush like this, not seen one to touch it at all. The infestation rate is incredible, and I've said hundreds of thousands. I bet there's well over 1 million mites on here. Concentrations at the growing points here and all along here. The large congregation on this bit here, but all at the top and all on this side. Studded orange. It's almost as if you've chucked a blanket over this. But it's something, maybe not to this extreme, that you'll probably start and notice as you walk around areas of heathland or wherever there is gorse. And in Nottinghamshire it's certainly becoming commoner, more so in the Sherwood Forest area, and I really ought to start and send records in of this, because there aren't many in Nottinghamshire, only a handful of records, because this is one thing that nobody bothers with. There's certainly nobody doing mites or recording mites in Nottinghamshire. But to see it like this is out of this world. And to be honest, that's exactly what this bush looks like.